Good morning, fourth graders, and welcome to your next reading and writing lesson. Let's get started. Our learning target for today is I can plan my memoir using a roller coaster graphic organizer. So, we're going to keep working on writing our own stories, and we're going to use this graphic organizer of a roller coaster to help us to plan really powerful stories that draw our readers in. Let's get started. First, we're going to read an example of a memoir that was written by a fourth grade student. And we're going to see what they did and see if we can learn from what they did as a writer. So let's get started reading this story. And while we do, see, what do you notice? What strategies are they using as a writer that maybe we want to try out? Let's see. Wasn't that fun? I couldn't believe it. I was actually going to do it. I was lining up for the corkscrew. I was wide eyed, staring at the gigantic ride. High above me was endless hoops, turns, jerks, hills, loops, and twirls. My heart, I could feel pounding. I chose to go on this, but why? I asked myself. So I could get out of this terrible situation, I closed my eyes. In my head, I can imagine myself taking steps toward home. Suddenly, Alex yelled, "Good luck!" I was two people away from my worst nightmare. Two passengers, then I could be on board. I'd been chattering my teeth now for the past 20 minutes. They hurt. So did my knees. They had been knocking together since the last time I checked my watch. Someone pushed my back. I looked back, but no one was there. Oh, well, I thought aloud. While I was thinking about who pushed me, someone latched me up. I looked around. I was trapped in the bars. I tried to escape the huge ride by closing my eyes. I was bumping up and down very slowly. We were going up the hill. Bump, bump, bump. I looked up for a moment at the sky to wish that I would have a safe journey. I said to myself, it can't be that bad. Help me. I was taking the long journey down. Then we started the endless curves and bumps. We went straight, then to the left, then to the right, then up, then down, and to the right and left. Oh no, we're coming up to the upside down, screaming, yelling, gasping for air, loop the loop, upside down, twice, straight, straight, loop, loop around and around again. My head was spinning and fast. Again, up we went suddenly. I held onto my head, thinking it might come off. I couldn't take it anymore. Then we slowly went down the hill, straight, straight. I could see people waiting in line. It slides, then halts. It's over. I quietly sigh with relief. Terror loosened its grip from my shoulders, from everyone begging me to go on. I had done it. I was a survivor. I got off the ride, still scared, but proud. Then Alex, Jenny, and Zara came up to me and hollered, "Wasn't that fun?" That's the end of our story. What did you think? What did you notice? What did this fourth grader do as a writer that we could try while we're writing our own stories too? What did they do? Like, something I noticed is they really focused. They didn't talk about their whole time at an amusement park. They focused on this, like, how long was this? Probably 5 minutes on a roller coaster. They focused on these 5 minutes and wrote a whole story about it. This I noticed. Any other things you noticed in this story? One thing we're going to really focus on is how they build the story. The story's literally about a roller coaster, but also the way they tell it follows this roller coaster where it starts at the bottom of the roller coaster where they're tell, setting the stage. We're getting to know the characters. We're getting to know where we are. We're building up. We're building up. Gets started on the roller coaster, and then you hit the peak. You hit the main thing that she was worried about. This is the climax of the story when something big happens, when she hit the loop de loop. You could tell this was the big peak, most exciting moment of the story. And then the story starts to come down. Then slowly it started to go straight. It started to go straight. Um, the story starts to wind down. She sees other people waiting in line. And then finally we hit the end where there's kind of a funny moment where her friends say to her, "Wasn't that fun?" So let's look back through this real quick so that we have a good understanding of what this roller coaster is. So see if we look at like this first paragraph, this is called the exposition. Can everyone say exposition? Exposition is setting the stage. They're telling, we figure out where she is, that she's lining up for the corkscrew. We get a feel of how she's feeling. Her heart is pounding. We can tell that she's really scared. She says this is a terrible situation. This is setting us up, getting to know the character where we are with her so we can feel like we're there. Then the story starts to rise a little bit. They say good luck. You know that she's been really nervous. You can tell that she's about to get started on this roller coaster. This is called the rising action. Everybody say rising action. This is when the story is building up. Pushed her back. She gets locked in. She starts going on the roller coaster. She can't, there's a few bumps. It gets started. She screams up, "Help me." It's building up, but we're still not at the peak. We're still not at the main thing that she mentioned at the beginning. She mentioned that corkscrew. We're still not quite there yet. Then we're coming up to here's the peak. This is the main part in the story. This is the climax. Can everybody say climax? Climax. This is the peak. The most exciting, the biggest thing in your story happens. So this is where she's at the corkscrew. And then it starts to go into the falling action. Everybody say falling action is when the story starts to calm down again. She sees people waiting in line. It slides, it halts. Her shoulders start to relax a little bit. She's not as nervous. And then finally, we reach the resolution. We reach the final part of the story where there's a little bit of a funny part where she says, let me move this out of the way so we can, where her friends say to her, "Wasn't that fun?" is the final, like, funny moment of the story where it's resolved. She's done with the roller coaster, and 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 her friends make this funny comment, "Wasn't this fun?" Even though you could tell she was terrified the whole entire time and was not so funny for her. Okay, so do you see how this story follows this roller coaster pattern? We're going to try the same thing now with our own stories. So first, I want you to think about what is a good idea that you have, a memory from your life. It could be the one we worked on last week about a special place, or it could be another memory. So think about something that you have strong feelings about, something you know a lot about, something you can give lots of detail, like she remembered every single thing that roller coaster did. She remembered someone pushing her in the back. She remembered someone locking her into the roller coaster. All those details bring us into the story. Something you think an audience would be interested in, and maybe something that the audience will feel is worth reading, is entertaining. Maybe we can learn something from it. So think first, what is a memory that you really want to write about, that you have from your life? Like I know last time I wanted to write about a memory in the kitchen with my family. And I could write about tons of things. I have tons of details. I remember the smells. I remember how I felt. I remember who's there with me. And now I'm going to start to think about the roller coaster that happens in that story. So think about this memory. So if I do my kitchen, I'm then going to think about what's the climax of my story? What is this peak moment that we talked about before? This peak moment in your story when something big happens. Like I'm going to think, I think the peak story. So when we were in the kitchen with my family, the peak part of the story was probably when we got the turkey in the oven. This was Thanksgiving morning. I was exhausted, all this stuff. I set the stage of being in the kitchen with my family. It builds up. We get the turkey out of the freezer. It starts to thaw. I don't know how to deal with this turkey. The peak moment is when we finally get the turkey in the oven. Will be like the big moment of my story. And slowly it'll start to come down where we finally get to taste the turkey when the turkey comes out of the oven. Okay? So I want you to think for yourself. What is this memory and what is a big moment that happens when you reach the top of the roller coaster that you were the most scared about? When you finally get something you're excited about cooking in the oven? Think about that big moment in your story. And then I'm going to send you off to do this work on your own. Okay? Where you're going to plan out what your story is going to look like, the beginning, rising to the climax, and then coming down to the end. And then you're going to write your story. So I'm going to show you where you're going to do this. If you open up, and this will all be on Firefly for you too. If you go to Google Classroom, and if you go to the English reading and writing topic, so if I'm on the main Google Classroom page and I click on classwork, I then can click on English reading writing. And I'm going to click on writing with a roller coaster plot. You'll click on writing with a roller coaster plot. And in here is where you're going to write in all the different parts of your story. So you'll first write down what your memory is. So like if I'm going to write in my memory is being, being in the kitchen with my family on Thanksgiving morning. Then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to plan the 5 different parts of my story. What happens at the beginning to set the stage where we are? Like I wake up and come downstairs and everyone is in the kitchen. Then the rising action is maybe we're chopping up different things to go inside the turkey. We're getting the turkey ready. We're singing a little bit as we prepare the turkey. So singing and preparing turkey. The story peaks. The turkey gets in the oven. This is the big part. The falling action, I keep checking. I keep looking in the oven. I keep looking to see if it's ready. And then my resolution is when it ends. We finally get to take the turkey out and I take my first bite. Perfect. So now you all are going to do the same thing. You're going to plan out your story, how it rides up, 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 hits a peak, comes down. And when you finish this, get started writing your story. You're then going to take all these ideas and you're going to put it together in a full story, just like the one we read earlier, the roller coaster story. So you'll write that down right in this box here. I can't wait to see the beautiful stories you all write. Keep up the great work, everybody.